Good evening. Welcome to day 104 of my public creative journal. Every day I document what I'm learning as I build my voice, my music, and my creative life. And all of this with the ultimate goal one day of the journey to perform in a cappella group. I guess it'd be an a cappella group. Anyway, today I want to fill you in on what paths to answers begin to open. It has to do with the journey in learning music. Oddly enough, today actually began after yesterday had already ended. Last night, everything had been recorded, edited, uploaded, published, and I climbed into bed with my iPad, and I had no intention of any more singing. Instead, I spent about 45 minutes diving into more music theory. And it wasn't on the calendar, and I didn't feel obligated. I just really getting into music theory, and I wanted to know some more. It was one of those moments where you suddenly look at the clock and realize, oh, look, 45 minutes gone already. I mean, I've been completely absorbed. At one point, I'm talking with my spouse about some of the things that I am learning, and they looked at me and said, before long, you're probably going to know more about music theory than I do. I have to admit, I kind of take that as an incredible compliment. Of course, later today, it was followed by homework. Apparently, my assignment is to transcribe the Jeopardy! Think music onto either staff paper or digital staff paper. So, we'll see how that goes. Fortunately, there's no due date on that because I hadn't worked my spouse into giving me homework into the entire process of my journey. But yay. Okay, so this morning, things continue to be a little out of the normal. Today is normally a purple day, which starts in the morning with singing, and today it couldn't. Now, nothing was broken this time. For once, everything is actually working. I was looking forward to singing. But because life has other plans, I had several hours where I couldn't get anywhere near the microphone. So, instead of asking myself, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? My journey, I can do whatever I want. I found myself asking instead, what part of the journey is possibly ready to move forward? And the answer surprised me. It was going to be more musical arrangement. And I'm not writing arrangements yet. I'm not taking apart music yet. I'm just preparing to figure out what I want to do. And I spent the morning gathering up songs that I think will work really well for voices in a cappella. I've been building this list for months. I have a playlist of a lot of songs that I listen to pretty much daily that I really think will convert, and they're from all over the place. So I spent the day trying to see if I could dig up sheet music or MIDI files. In some cases, I actually located music XML versions, which is fully compatible with Logic. Thumbs up there. But I was also trying to figure out how to organize everything so that when I eventually do sit down to do arrangement, future me is not starting from scratch. Honestly, today really in the morning felt like striking gold. And it's not because I actually finished anything. It's because I suddenly realized I had opened an entirely new part of the journey. Now, one of my favorite moments happened around lunchtime. One of the songs happens to be one that my son loves to pieces. We compete to sing it with each other because it's got two voices in it. So I printed out the music and I sat down with him, and instead of trying to actually teach him how to read music, which he had never done anything closely, I just wanted to see if he could follow it. I first asked whether or not he could see if the melody moves up or down, which he was able to do pretty much to a half step. And then I put the music on. At first he was like, yeah, whatever, but he was able to follow it and even caught a couple of places where there were like musical signatures in the piece. And it really kind of made me unexpectedly happy this afternoon. But it was cool. Now, this afternoon, I finally returned to writer. After several days away from the microphone, I was at the microphone. And I honestly expected the first take to be mostly disaster. I mean, recalibration. Recalibration is not a term that I'm using for disaster. I just meant today, it's been 4 days. Instead, foundation was simply there. The work hadn't disappeared or dissipated or discombobulated or disestablishmentarianism. It had stayed with me. And more importantly, I realized I wasn't listening the way that I had been listening. A few weeks ago, I would have asked, did that take improve on the last one, or did it fall off a bit? And today, it was more a question of how was it different? What were the changes? And that becomes a lot more interesting question, because it means the earlier questions are beginning to require less of my attention, and the newer ones are becoming visible. And looking back over the whole of today, plus an hour of yesterday, I don't really think any of this journal entry is actually about the music theory, or arranging music, or even singing brighter, or showing my son string squiggles on a page. It was about something I don't really think I appreciated until today. Early in this journey, every new thing I learned felt like another destination. I had to learn this, I had to move on. I had to learn that, I had to move on. Today didn't feel like that at all. Every answer seemed to reveal 3 more directions that I could explore. Learning major scales have made me very curious about minor scales and modes, and I know there are music systems that do not fashion 12 notes the way we do. Gathering the arrangement suddenly opened possibilities I couldn't have explored yesterday, and today's singing answered some questions while quietly introducing entirely new ones. But instead of feeling overwhelmed by all of that, I'm jazzed. I'm more pop and alternative with a bit of novelty, but I'm jazzed. I found it exciting. It feels like the landscape is getting bigger. Not because I'm getting further away, but I think I'm finally getting high enough onto sort of like Lover's Leap, that place with a really great view that you hang out because you just want to enjoy. And I am enjoying what this is, and because of that view, I am seeing more. And I think, putting it that way, it's one of the most unexpected things, that this journey has brought to me. The goal isn't reaching the end of the path. It's discovering there are far more paths than I ever knew existed. And somehow that makes me even more excited to see where tomorrow leads or could lead, because there are choices and things that I can double back to. It is so wide and so open that I definitely think day 100 was just a rest stop, and I got another whole bunch of journal to write. As always, thank you for spending some of your day with me. I will see you tomorrow for day 105. I just don't know which path through the house I will take to film it. Later.